you doing, man?
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Director
you.
of audio visual here. They run all the sound and everything.
Cool.
We're looking for some records for them to sign.
Oh, sorry about that. See, King Gizzard always steals my spots.
That one.
Oh my God!
was helping Patrick over with video.
Let's see. Yeah.
I made this art for a T-shirt, and
Gizzard takes it a lot.
oh, this is so cool. I don't even have one of these. $24.99. Jesus Christ. And look, Marcus, his eyes are closed. Typical Mark Sultan photo. And that was the original baby bass drum. It was smaller than the snare, but it sounded fantastic. And my wife made that little logo. And my old Vox amp. This was recorded.
You look like you ate that guy.
This is funny because look, we have a Velvet Underground cover. Guess I'm Falling in Love. Nuclear War was a song about nuclear war that we just made up on the spot. Oh, Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory. That's a Johnny Thunders cover. Out of Time, Rolling Stones. Kill Yourself is just a hardcore jam that we did. Too Much in Love Operation. We played this show in 2005. It was in Isola, Slovenia. And I ate tons of barbecue sardines before going on stage, which was like the worst thing to eat. For like
It's like the time I ate jalapeno nachos before playing baseball when I was in 3rd grade. I learned, don't do that.
Yeah, not when you're wearing white pants.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
dude, so I wasn't even thinking about that. Tell me about the barbecue sardines. Though.
Yeah, so I ate all these sardines, and then like every time I burped for like 2 days, there's like just fish coming into my mouth. You know, it was like, and literally coming into my mouth. You know, and, but the show was really funny, and like back in the day, we used to just goof around so much. Like you know, like I'm surprised that we did like 5 covers that night, and we never do covers. You know, because especially if you want to be that band that's like, oh yeah, they played that Johnny Thunders cover.
Right.
You know, they always remember those songs more. You know,
Yeah.
but this was a really beautiful time to tour. Actually, we had a smart car.
Oh, no.
Remember when
yeah,
this
yeah.
came
Oh,
out?
yeah.
Yeah, and so like
Yeah.
we were
The little tiny ones, right?
I had a friend of mine come out of jail. He was a drug dealer,
Okay.
and he was like looking for work, and so he stopped smoking weed. So he was the most paranoid, crazy driver.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're trying to take a nap in the back, and he's just like, "Fuck, fuck, Scheiße, Scheiße," like this German
Like every
motherfucker.
15
And he was ginger.
Oh, my
Never
God.
trust those guys, you know, like. But his name was Uli Nitsch, and like so we were waiting at a train station, and then I told him like, just find the cheapest car you can find. We don't care how big it is. So and then we're like joking about he's gonna come in a smart car, and he really did.
Did you have a ton of gear with you?
Well, we have a bass drum, so
Okay.
whoever's sitting in the back had to have a bass drum between their
Okay,
legs.
got you.
And then we had garbage bags with T-shirts, so like we were drowning in bags of plastic, right? And then like we used to park like 5-minute walk away from the bar so they wouldn't see the smart car. It was just like we were just like embarrassed.
Yeah,
the whole way through.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Ruined the image.
Yeah, totally. And that was our costumes at that time, I think too. Like, actually, this picture is not from that show.
What is
Telling it all.
What show is that?
This I don't know what show this is. I don't really remember. But man, you know, we did this for 30 years, you know, and like the most fun thing about it was that we could carry all our gear with 2 hands.
Yeah.
You know, and like I remember we played in Munich once, and there was like we were double booked, and so the headlining band was this like hard rock Australian band,
Yeah.
right? And their dad was their tour manager.
Nice.
So he had like, you know, those flight cases that open up. That's like your
Oh, yeah.
merch store.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And they had these giant like
Fancy.
Marshall amps and everything
Yeah.
like that. And then we were like arguing about who should headline. And then the promoter was like, well, dude, King Hunter Barbecue are way more popular than whatever fucking Monster Magnet bullshit you're doing.
Right.
So, but then we were just arguing. So then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll play first. Okay? Done. So we played, and then like, we said, like they did a sound check for like, you know, an hour.
Yeah.
And then we just go on with our little box amps and everything set up in front of them and blew them away.
Sure.
You know, people left
Sure.
after we played.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's just and I didn't do that line. What's that? Jerry Lee Lewis, you know, like setting the piano on fire and being like, all right, you Australians, you know, like take over, your koala fuckers.
I was thinking you were going to tell me, oh, and then the band turned out to be Wolf Mother. Or
Yeah.
something like that. That's awesome, dude. Well, man, come on and sign that.
Yeah, I'll sign it. Let's do it. Where should we go?
Dude, I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, me too, man. And like,
Awesome.
I had
You dropped in on us on the.
It's kind of perfect because like we were just
Middle of
impromptu, like.
Yeah.
But-
Let's
yeah.
go over to seven.
Yeah, sure. So like, I had a really rough year.
Yeah.
Like I was catfish. What's a good? Oh, it's with this. Or wait, is there anything picturesque? Or maybe some artwork?
Or like
Is there
in front of a
Buck? Is that the
Waterloo
only Billy Buck
logo.
artwork?
Yeah. Yeah. We can do it over there. Let me grab her. Let me see if I can grab a shirt.
No.
You did.
Oh, this one is good.
I mean, we've got a ton all over the place.
Yeah. Oh, we have color.
Just gonna open these up and-
The reason I don't even have a copy of this is because our buddy started a vinyl pressing plant in Valencia, Spain.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, but thing was, he was supposed to send him to us on tour, and of course, you know, they sent it after we left that place. So like there was like 200 records that we never got. And I don't even know where they are.
Hey, Karen, do you know anything about vinyl pressing plants? This is our owner, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I own Gold Rush Vinyl here in town, and then just bought Waterloo in January.
Do you guys do small editions?
We do, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I've been
Bingo.
looking for one. Yeah. Do you have a business card?
I do in my bag.
Oh
so
yeah,
go grab
please,
it, yeah.
please.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now we deface, defund and deface.
I've got a black one too.
I have a black one.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, but I wanted the pink one. I don't want to ruin the record. This is cool, man. I haven't even seen a lot of these in the world.
I'm surprised he didn't ask you for it. I found an Almighty Defenders album in the thrift store, and he's like, I don't even have one. Can I have it? I'm like, no.
We went to the what is it? The used book place,
Half price.
half price, and they have all of the like leftover Norton stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I found it was great because when I was talking about the stories, I had stories about every fucking Norton record they had there.
That's cool.
And they're selling it for really cheap. There was like some for 15, you know, a couple of compilations for like $9 each. And like Norton, I found out later that Norton doesn't get permission to do any of their stuff. They just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's including the Rolling Stones single collection, which I think they actually gave as a present to either Keith Richards or Mick Jagger, someone they ran into, so it's the kind of thing, it's like no one's gonna sue them because they're good people.
Right.
You know, and so I remember when Jonathan Tobin, the DJ, he like made a comp, and some of the stuff was from Atlantic, some were like songs that like I was just like, how did you get fucking, you know, like the rights for that shit? And he was like, we didn't get the rights for it. And I mean, Billy was in the hospital at the time too, so he was just like, I don't care, you know?
Yeah. That
But-
reminds me of like the elevator stuff, people reissuing that stuff back in the day when like
Especially Italian and
Rocky
Spanish.
Rocky was like, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh man, you want to hear a crazy Rocky story?
Sure.
So, our first label that really supported us was Sympathy for the Record Industry. So when we go to Long Gone's, you know, he had the craziest shit you've ever seen, like Charles Manson girl jackets, Iggy Pop's fucking jacket with the cheetah on the back of it,
Oh, wow.
like from Raw Power. Like you're just like in a museum of stuff, an archive. You know, he had the Mummy's car. You know, the original one, the hearse or whatever, you know. So I was hanging out with him once, and then he had just visited Rocky Erickson in the mental hospital, and Rocky had like 5 different pairs of glasses on, and like every few minutes he'd be like, "Long gone, I have to do my homework," and he'd have an upside down physics book, and he would just be drawing, right? So then like there was a stack of papers, and then the hospital was like, "Oh great, another stack." And then Long Gone's like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, he makes this every week, like fucking stack of papers. He's like, yo, just give them to me, like I'll take them. So he takes them, and then they're just random drawings and like of like a chessboard with pickles and skulls and like just insane stuff. So then he's also got the word AAE all over it, like A. And then I keep looking, and I find an ancient enemy. Right now, when I was arrested 10 times, and the 10th time they put me in solitary confinement for 1 month in Arizona. I was arrested because they were racketeering me. I was in the system, and they just loved picking me up on the street, you know. And like there was articles written about me that were like, oh, he's an arson from New Orleans. He's a psychopath. You know, people were lying that I was jerking off in front of them, or I went to a restaurant and I was flirting with all the underage girls, like just the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And on Facebook, I couldn't, and I got banned from Facebook, and because I put a picture of a girl's vagina and it said R.I.P. Andre Williams, but I had permission from the vagina, you know, like I talked to it. I said, like, is it okay? It was like, sorry, but back to Rocky. So.
Right.
AAE, right?
Yeah.
So when they were putting me in the suicide tank, right, they literally put me in a pickle suit. It was a green thing with no sleeves, just like that, Velcroed like that. And you know what company makes it? Bob Barker. He makes all prison clothes. Yeah, I was stealing tags of every Bob Barker shirt because he's an Indian. He's native, you know, like so he must have made a lot of money off prison, you know. But anyways. So they would put me next to the rubber room, and they were like, if you go one step further, you're gonna go in there, and we're gonna put you in a fucking straitjacket, right? And the thing was, I was next to it because, well, another thing, they deprived me of my medication for 1 month. They just took my meds away from my bipolarity, and they put me in a frying pan, basically, you know. So like, I have it all on video too. I'm gonna make the fucking most hardcore, like it's gonna be like Pasolini in fucking prison, you know, like, but. Like I was literally shitting in a fucking styrofoam thing, and then because they wouldn't give me running water, they wouldn't give me a fucking toilet paper. You know, I was really like a Palestinian, basically. You know, like so they were wondering why I kept cutting up styrofoam and putting it in a huge pile.
Yeah.
Like, and I even kept a fistful of it just to remember it forever. And I would call myself Styro with the other prisoners to look tough, right? It's not really tough, right? Hey, but at least I'll remember plastic. You know,
kind of a cool nickname though.
It's like styro arsenic was my idea. But anyway, so I was keeping this pile, right? And then I was using it like Buddhists use sand when they make a painting, you know, because there was a camera the whole time, the all-seeing eye, and I just kept talking to it as if it was my girlfriend that I was in love with. The reason I went to Arizona, who was catfishing me, basically, you know. She even wrote a song with me called "The Hobo That Spooned Me." Okay. Like she wanted me to play this role, and I did it because I honestly, like, I got deprived of all my money. Like I had $2 million from TikTok, right? And Mark got like 10, you know. But like my wife just cut all my cards when I was there because I was obviously leaving her. But so I will tell you though, being homeless for like so many months, I've met such a great community of people, you know, and I was taking care of them. Like there was an old lady, 60 years old, Lyra, you know, like when I met her, she was so violent, right? She was like insane. I used to call her murder face, and like she was so crazy. But then after the second time I met her, I was playing sitar, and she would just sit next to me and come and like hug me, you know. And then after like a week of like seeing her every day, she had a broken leg. And like she was insane, and so when I started playing sitar, she would do these dances in front of it, and I even had two small Buddhist symbols, putting on her feet, her bare fucked up feet, and she was like stomping and like doing these dances, and it turns out that she learned Senegalese drumming from like somewhere when she was in Seattle, and like she had maybe some native blood and all that stuff. And like I met a woman there too, a native, who was like, she had 400 handwritten, hand-drawn journals of all of her travels all over America with every different tribe. She was Mohican and then she was like, I live in a cave in the mountains, and these caves collapse. So one day someone is gonna find her dead and find all her books. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like,
what about AAE?
Oh yeah, the AAE. Yeah. So in the rubber room, when they always walk me by it, everywhere was written AAE,
Whoa.
AAE. And I was like, I got goosebumps. I was like, Rocky, you know? So you see, there is such a connection between, like, the fine line between insanity and like secrets and like the universe that is open to the people who are forced to have to open it up, you know, and try to figure shit out and go nuts, you know? And like, Rocky for me is so, like, not only one of the most important people in my life, I actually got to meet him. I did his tarot cards with his wife, you know. I made Jaeger, you know, and like they were so family style. Actually, we played here. We opened for them at Levitation Fest, you know, and like. I was staying in the hotel and I was in an elevator with him the first time I met him, and no joke, and I was like, oh my god, I was gushing, you know, like, hey Rocky, like I fucking love you, dude, like you don't understand, and then he's like, what's your name? And I was like, King Kong, and you know he loves King Kong,
Sure.
right? So like he goes, King Kong?
Oh.
Right? And like it's like as if I turned into a monkey in front of him, you know what I mean? So then we're walking, and then awkwardly, my hotel room is across from his. So it looks like I'm following him, but like my hotel room is across. And then, you know, I'm like, good night. So at one point, someone had my key and invited like 20 people into the hotel room to party and do coke and all that stuff. So luckily, I was walking back to my hotel room when the security guard was in front of me, and he was going to my room. Right, so he opened the room first. So when I went in, I was like, "What the fuck are you all doing in here?" Like, I mean, I knew everyone in the room, and then I forced them to take a picture all together with the security guard. And at that same show, the same Holiday Inn, Timmy Vulgar from A Human Eye and Clone Defects, he at 3 a.m, he comes in and he jumps in the pool with all his clothes on, and he's like doing every kind of swimming dance, you know, in the thing, and the security guards are like, no, okay, we're gonna call the cops, like get out of here now, or get in your room. So then he jumps out of the pool with like takes off his clothes, he's just got his underwear on, goes in the elevator, sharts, right, and then like goes upstairs, he's got shit in his pants, and he goes to his room. And he like bolt locks the door, and the police now, or no, the security guards are like, open the door, open the door. So then he calls the cops on the security guards. So meanwhile, he's calling the cops on the security guards. The hotel's calling the cops on him. So there's like this like loop, there's like time loop, and the cops are like, what room are you in, sir? It's like, you gotta come here quick. There's people trying to get in my door, get in my door. He's like, but what room are you? I'm in 217. He's like, what? Are you calling the cops on them? Are they calling us on you? Like, you know.
You say rock and roll's dead, you know.
Anyways, Rocky is just too. And like, if you look at the origins of psychedelic music, right? It all started because of Life magazine printed an article about Maria Sabina, the mushroom witch of like Mexico, and she was healing people. And Albert Hoffman had been there, the creator of LSD, way before. And he had made psilocybin for her in Switzerland and sent her packets of it as a gift so that she could continue her research all the way through, or her healing for everyone, you know, like so that she didn't have to just wait for harvest. So meanwhile, that happened like probably way earlier. I don't know, I'm not sure what years, but that Life magazine article opened Bob Dylan's eyes and everyone else to like, what's the psychedelic church that's happening there, you know? And Rocky and them were doing DMT in the studio when they did their first album and all that stuff. And like, I honestly remember even taking acid and listening to the first album and being like, I'm in the room with them. Like, the sound is so perfect, you know? And then when you hear the lyrics of Slip Inside This House and all this stuff, you're like, these dudes were like talking to Maya, the Bedouin tribes ascending. You know, like what's more insane than an American singing about a fucking Arab, you know, in a beautiful way. Too, yeah. For me, it set my path. Like, I knew that I had to follow that path, you know, and like even Janis Joplin moved here because of the elevators and wanted to be their backup singer, you know. And then Rocky says that James Brown was the scream that he tried to emulate in his music. So it all comes back to R&B, you know, and all this stuff. And then, you know, 30, 40 years later, you got Norton Records, and you got like, and Rocky, I relate to him so well because I have been so crazy sometimes and desperate for like, oh shit, like I don't know what label you are, but if you're gonna make me 100 copies I can sell on the road, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, you know, and then like, you have labels too that you're wondering, like, are they exploiting the artist or are they not? You know, like, and Norton was sometimes questionable in that way. Like, they had a kind of a standard contract for like, you know, like, oh, here's $1,000 Hannibal or like Andre Williams, and we'll get you the rest later, you know? Like, I'm not saying that they maybe sold 50 million albums and deprived them of money, but like, they're never straight about it. And they were always like, but they were still helping. Like, Andre went through rehab because of Miriam and wrote books because of her, you know? So like, for me, like that one hand washes the other for sure in that sense. But like, then when you think of Italian labels, bootlegging stuff, or you think of Nina Simone bringing a gun into a restaurant and like shooting in the air at a guy who's like sold probably 1 million records of hers and never gave her a cent,
Yeah.
you know. So, yeah,
Seems like the artist always gets the
shaft.
short end for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I lost my family pretty much I mean, it was because of this woman, but like, you know, I mean, I'm slowly building up again, and I'm staying at Ellis's, and the homeless thing, like, I'm playing sitar for homeless people here. That's it. I'm not trying to get shows and all that kind of stuff. I just go to parking lots. I go to people who are just, and yesterday, we're walking near One in a Million, and there's a dumpster, and there's a black dude in a dumpster who's like Scrooge McDuck in like money. You know what I mean? He's just like up and down, and then he sees him from far away. He's like, oh shit, let's go ask him. And I'm just like, hey brother, what's up? You know, and then he's just like leaning in the drum, like Oscar the Grouch, just hanging. And the effect of sitar, because you don't know what it is, and when you hear like meow, and this Indian classical music is the perfect music for pain. You know, and like his eyes and his face, it was just like squinting and just being so beautiful. You know, and it reminded me of actually when I played for handicapped children, you know, or at a tattoo studio. When people have pain and they hear the it matches the sound of their pain and just like.
So you just show up and play.
Yeah, exactly. Like today we went, in the parking lot, there was a black dude, you know, and like he had just garbage everywhere and selling in the thrift store in front of Goodwill.
Yeah.
It's a good place to set up. You know?
Sure.
Like, here's the appetizer and, you know, but no, so I feel like right now for me is not a time to be opportunistic and try to get gigs. You know what I mean? Like, musicians are lucky now, you know, like you can be a King Gizzard and do 100 records a month and like, you know, sign to Atco or whatever, that label of the guy who flushed toilet water in Chicago with Dave Matthews, you know? But
Oh, you saw ATO.
ATO, yeah.
oh yeah, ATO, that's it, yeah. Like, that's another thing too. It's like the punk spirit is gone. You know, I mean, unless you're DIY and do your own thing, possibly, or there's still labels that are great. I mean, my daughters are in the music business because I showed them the honest way to do it, and the honest way to do it is it's familial. It's like, hey, in The Red, for example, right? His wife is Zionist. She was yelling at the Gories for supporting Palestine, and all these people were getting attacked by her, right? So I was like openly saying, what the fuck? I mean, I'm on the label. I made him $200,000, from TikTok, which he didn't even want in the beginning, because he was like, oh, TikTok is evil. I don't want this money. And then when the money comes out, oh yeah, I'll take $200,000 and give my distributor $200,000. Why does Revolver get to it for putting records in boxes? For 30 years they worked for me. You know what I mean? But they're not working for me. Anyway, it's like heartbreak after heartbreak. But if you're a musician, now is the time to bring the salve to the people, you know, and like free shows, you know, Black Panther style. We don't have guns, we have guitars, you know. And if you want to be a revolutionary, you know, I've worked with the real Panthers for 13 years in Louisiana. You know, they like me because they saw the Black Power Tarot, which I gave $13,000 to pay back taxes for old Panthers. But recently I had the same awakening that they did, where I went to Africa, to Kenya, right? And I worked in an orphanage, right? And like, I don't have to buy food. I have a boat I can live on, right in front of on the beach. I don't pay rent. You know, they have solar power. They have all the filtered water. They have they're off the grid. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is a sign. You know, like TikTok wasn't the sign. Getting $2 million was not the sign. It was actually being in a place where I don't even need that.
I feel like money's rarely the sign.
Yeah.
It never is. It never is. It's always the stab in the back.
It always seems like, oh, if I had more, I'd be better off, and then I don't know.
Well, the snakes come to you.
Yeah.
All of them. Even the
Exactly.
ones that were most allegiant to you, you know?
Yeah.
And now I have Larry, you know, telling everyone that I'm a horrible person. You know, there's like a war against me. I understand. I don't need social media because I'm not an entity anymore. I'm not really a human anymore.
I don't know if any of us do.
we absolutely, honestly don't. And I think that's why me and my wife were so fucked up, because I told her I'd never want to be a couple who text each other, all that stuff. We live in the same house. I wake up in the morning, she sent me 30 Instagram messages. 10 of them are Gaza. 10 of them are pizza recipes. 10 of them are German food, blah, blah, blah. And the Germans are beating up Holocaust survivors for supporting Palestine in the streets. Like, we are talking about full fascism. The police here, everywhere, they're controlled by Zionists. And like, even my sister works for David Suzuki, the biggest environmental protector of Canada, who's owned by the Liberal Party, who's owned by Seagrams, who's owned by the Bronfman family, who are sex freaks. And the Bronfman was the one who started the Back to Israel program, you know? So like, I'm like finally free of all of the shackles, and all I can see is Marcus Garvey, you know? Like, Marcus, like he stayed in a Jamaican prison, you know? Like, when America captured Marcus Garvey, over $25 check for his bank that was for slaves and for black people, for his boat industry that brought people back to Africa where they, you know? So like, that's what I want to be. I want to be like I'm gonna make this documentary about solitary confinement. I'm not gonna attack the individual police officers and all that stuff. I'm not gonna get in that rat race, you know, because I'll never win that battle. You know, I don't know, whoever the attorney general is in Arizona is already facing $400 million lawsuit about racketeering. You know, so and the hotels that I was hiding in, I met all the homeless people that were getting paid $1 million to shut up, but then they kept going and attacking, you know. And I was like, wow, but how long have you been here? Oh, I've been in this hotel room for 4 years. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing this. I'm getting out, you know. So finally, Ellis was just like, hey, dude, like, we've been just farting around and doing funny videos, like in London and all of it. He actually, to be honest, I almost committed suicide, and he called me on that, like right before I was going to down a shitload of pills in London, and he was like, dude, don't do it, you know. And we've had an eternal conversation ever since. And I have a family in Detroit. They're from Detroit originally, but they're in Green Bay, Wisconsin. When they found out I was homeless and all that stuff, they paid for my hotel, they paid for my food, you know. And then he was taught by Russ Gibbs, the owner of the Grandee Ballroom, who owned Cream Magazine, so the spirit of that guy, he paid for the MC5's first equipment. He played for their first recording, Stooges as well. You know, Russ Gibbs had an audiovisual center that was like interviewing Black Flag when they came to Detroit, you know? So these guys are like so important, but they have children who are not their real children, but they're like, have that blessing. And that guy, when Matt, he's like, not only was he saving me by paying my rent or my hotels and food, he's like, dude, I'm gonna be your manager and I'm gonna fucking restructure your entire life, and you have to call me every day, and you have to not start doing cocaine again. You have to stay away from booze. You have to do all this stuff. And thank God for them, because they're really fucking angels. You know, their son, Shanty Sleaze, he's a one-man band. He's better than any one-man band I've ever seen. He sounds like the Germs, you know, and like he's one kid. Shanty, like SHANTYSLEAZE. If you guys have an email or something like that, I'll take it down.
Yeah,
and
actually, I need to run to another call, but this is the best way to get me
Oh,
in line.
we were supposed to meet, man. This is great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy there's no people bothering
Oh,
us too.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm glad you guys can come by. Pardon me, I have to go pick up the tacos.
Oh, yes.
Better run, but be in touch. We only work with independent artists.
Yes.
We don't do any major league.
No, we got the Gold Rush, baby.
Yeah.
Neil Young.
Exactly. All right.
Before the Gold
See
Rush.
you guys soon.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm vomiting a lot of information to you guys, but it's like, I'm so happy that we can document this stuff, because
Yeah, that's why you're here.
yeah, it's like a therapy thing almost, you know. And
Thank God for him.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome, man.
Yeah. And I won't order coffee on your tab
You
anymore.
fucking asshole.
But I will steal Twinkies. He was buying coffee. I'm like, yo, get me one too. And then
He didn't ask.
Yeah.
No,
Oh
he
yeah.
just ordered a flat
I will-
white.
I'll have a
Look,
flat white. That's right.
If you're getting coffee and I just want to jump on your tab, I should order like
The cheapest
a
one.
black coffee.
Yeah. I didn't know the difference.
You get a flat white.
I didn't know that it was like a $3
I do
difference.
love a flat white.
Yeah, exactly, with oat milk.
Yes.
I know. Yes.
That's my jam.
See? Okay, I'm not feeling that bad. But then when I was put out, I stole Twinkies.
I've never even
Then-
heard of it until today.
And they're
To me, a
crinkled.
flat white is a
like-
kind of butt.
Twinkie thief.
It was like a plastic thing.
yeah.
So like, do we just name it? Should we just mention the name of the cap? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry, Starbucks.
I've never heard of it. It's a small copy.
No, but the funny thing, he was watching me.
Corner store coffee
He was
shop.
watching me steal it, and I put it in my pocket. No one else saw it, and it went crinkled. But I was just like, and then there was so much ice outside that my getaway was like. It was like fucking slow motion.
Dude, that under sliding, right?
Yeah, he
It
was
was a
like,
very dainty.
he was like the jankiest fucking getaway I've ever seen.
Hilarious.
There should have been like some like Keystone Cop like.
All right, I'm sweating, dude. My
Okay,
pits are
okay.
like, you need to sign this thing.
Yeah. Okay. But you guys have been here for a long time, right?
We've been in Austin for 44 years. We've been in this location though. We just moved 5 months.
I heard, yeah, that it was new.
Yeah.
Is she the new owner or the original?
She and her partner Trey are the new owners,
cool, yeah.
the new majority owners. John is still involved as
I don't
well.
know anything. I just moved to Austin.
Yeah, John's still involved as well. John Keynes.
So, it's a great record store. It's kind of like the local amoeba.
Hey, we appreciate that, man. We're working on it. Right, Evan?
Radio. You know what's funny is that the only person I ever saw at the Apollo Theater, I was 16 and I snuck in, and it was Crystal Waters. I'm homeless. Remember that?
Wow.
No.
That's amazing.
No. Well, I don't consider myself homeless now because I got friends, but I do. I love Austin. Like Sean from the Spitz was my buddy. He was secretly living here for many years, but he's the kind of motherfucker who needs alcohol to be like have confidence. He's a coward otherwise. And then he was like, I was trying to get him chicks and stuff like that at Jumba Juice. I was like,
Liquid Courage.
yeah, I know. And I was trying to get him to go to yoga and get flexible women. And like instead, he's like shooting double Jameson behind my back at Hotel Vegas. And I'm just like, dude, I see you. I see what you're doing, So I couldn't break that vice from him. And I stopped trying because it's like some friendships are based on things that are just not important, basically, yeah. But his mom lived here, and I loved his mom. Mama Spit. We always went to Denton to go to the barbecue joint there, Salt Lake. It was a tradition. Austin for me was one of those tradition places where this is a music person's paradise. You can get, health insurance. You can get fucking ham or whatever that shit is. So I was always.
Ham is great.
It's amazing. I wanted
Alliance for Austin musicians.
I wanted to do a whatchamacallit, a horror house, right? Because because of Lou Reed and Hal Wilner, his producer, I got the job of finishing a record that was never finished in 1992. It's called Let Me Hang You. It's a Burroughs record, right? And I made a gatefold with the artist from Game of Thrones. He did all the artwork. And when I asked Hal, I'm like, hey, who's gonna put this record out? People from John Zorn's band were on it, Bill Frisell.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I offended all the musicians by the cover I made for the record. The original cover had 2 young Mexican boys, one with an erection and one without, next to Burroughs. But then the people were so offended, and I was like, are you listening to this record? It's one of the most offensive records ever made. Why not fucking just push it, And then I put loincloths over them, but there is a slight erection in one of them. Yeah. But I preserved the
tint.
Yeah. But anyways, why was I talking about that record? I can't remember. Oh, but anyway, that was a gift from Lou. Because he had just died, and Hal was so sad, and he was just he's like, Eric, you should finish this. And then I was like, hey, who's gonna put this out? He's like, John Zorn wanted to put it out originally, but I don't think he's gonna do it now because I think he thinks your music that you added was too nice to the ears. It wasn't, Yeah. And I tried to take a Velvet Underground approach to it. So and anyways, Hal's like, you should put it out. I'm like, I don't have a label. He's like, make one. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a record label. And then, 30 records later, I can always say Hal Wilner, the guy who scored Buckwheat on Saturday Night Live, told me to start a record label. I should have called it Buckwheat Records,
You still
Yeah. But you never know what a chance meeting can do, And some are so powerful that even 20 years later, you're still sipping the nectar of that friendship,
Yeah.
And that's why so much of the relationships I had with almost all the musicians that I grew up with, it's a fucking world of violence. Rock and roll is a way to get young girls to fuck around with older men you know, and these older men will always call them whores behind their backs and all this shit and dirty talk in the fucking locker room and all that stuff. And I don't want any of that, you know. Like I have 2 daughters. I see the way that people my age look at them at shows. I can't go to their shows because I'm a wolf dad. I'm like, fuck you. Like, what are you looking at her like that, you know? So, my time has passed now for that element. But to play music for the homeless and then go to Africa and just teach a bunch of kids and then watch when they come here, you know, like I bought 2 boats. You know, I want to have a sitar on one boat and the drummers floating around me in another boat. You know, like make wizard shit. You know what I mean? And like
But that's the stuff that fills up your soul these days.
yes, exactly. And recording again. Like I'm going to Greg Ashley's from the Grigri. You know, he's another fallen soldier that I tried to save in 2008 by doing a band with him and getting the Grigri back together to back me up. But then sadly, you know, Joe died, the drummer, you know, who's Shannon's husband, or was good to be Shannon's husband. And so like, but that music, those 2 albums of the Grigri, the first ones they did, they just weren't accepted properly when they came out, but they're as close to the Third Triple Elevators I've ever heard. You know, they're probably 2 of the best produced albums in the world.
Wow.
And now you know, I used to call him Box Wine Willie, but like now he's still doing box wine sometimes, but he's at least not smoking crack, right? And like he just inherited 100 acres in Casa, Texas, 2 hours from here. So he's got a cowboy house for me, and man, if I do my visa shit right, I could maybe even live there, you know, in the summers and then go back to Africa and just go between Africa and the United States. Everyone is bailing on the United States right now, and the United States is saving my ass because it's like I like to see Somali children with water balloons fighting against Nazis and freezing their faces. You know what I mean? Like I lived with Mohawks. You know, the Mohawk Nation. They adopted me. I was adopted in the Wolf Clan. You know, Mohawks, Blackfoot, like the Anishinaabe. You know, the Anishinaabe is here. Where is it? Yeah, Anishinaabe. This is funny because I have to take this off if I go to Indian territory. This is a U.S. Indian police thing, you know, and like, I used to have it on a hat, and then whenever I go to like a Mohawk meeting or something like that.
Why? What is it?
Because it represents the sellout cops that were hunting Indians, basically, you know. And you know, I did a documentary about that the past 3 years. It's called Not Indian Enough, and it's on YouTube. The trailer. It's and I spent 3 years living on reses all over Canada, mostly Blackfoot, Anishinaabe, which is Ojibwe and Mohawk, and I learned. I just lived with elders. I did ceremony. I was watching all this stuff, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was really native, because if I was really native, they would be wondering why am I there with 2 German photographers, like what like who are you, like why are you telling my story? But because I'm Indian from India, who, by the way, most of the natives in Canada hate because Canada is being invaded by India. Like everyone's leaving India to go and have their winter wonderland in fucking Canada, and they're so racist against natives because they're so easy to pick on because they're sadly mostly like a lot of them drug addicted, you know, the city ones especially, you know, so. Not really Punjabi because the Sikhs are very good people. It's in their culture to like fight for the warriors and to like protect women and stuff and people. But the Hindus and the Muslims are the ones that are like sexually starved. You know, they don't know how to act around women, and they're the ones who are like, you know, like trying to solicit sex from a 16-year-old native girl who's on heroin, who can't talk. You know what I mean? Like the situation in Canada, I think, is even way worse than here, because here you go to Apache or like, you know, like they're poor and they have no running water, but they've been living like that their whole life, and they know how to kind of survive somehow because of the way they are protected somehow with mineral copper and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a magic land in Arizona and Texas, you know, the best thunderstorms I've ever seen in places, you know, and that's when this creator talks to you, you know. So there's like a definite there's a difference between the American Indians here or I wouldn't call them American Indians, I mean Turtle Islanders, let's say. So I was born in Mohawk territory, and I saw what they did against the Canadian government. That inspired me my whole life. That's the punkest shit. They're like superheroes. They're like iron workers, you know. Then I go to Anishinaabe, who adopted me in the Wolf Clan. But then the Blackfoot, you know, I helped bust a drug dealer who killed my nephew, right? He gave him a hot shot, and I busted a fentanyl ring, but I couldn't bust the ring of crime that was caused by the children of police that were burning homeless people alive, and they were called the White Guerrillas, and that's Lethbridge, Alberta, right? You don't hear about this shit. Why doesn't Netflix do a fucking documentary about that? You know what I mean? And that's another. I mean, I don't even want to go on that tangent, but like, you know, like.
You don't mean to go on a tangent. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why Lou Reed really liked me. Yeah.
That's when Lou Reed turned to me and said, "Thank you for inventing punk rock." Kyle."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna just put homeless.
Not hopeless.
Yeah. Not without hope.
I think maybe throw this one away.
Yeah.
Hopefully that wasn't anybody.
He drew tits on Santa at Half Price Books, dude. I'm not even joking.
It was a really depressing one because I wrote like I'm lost, I'm broke, I'm
I fully expected like a pants tent or something.
Oh, doo-doo. All right.
Yeah, dude.
Is that the fart that I
They're
took in the
both they're
car?
both shit. You see.
That's amazing.
Poo head. Saint. S-A-I and Saint Hobo. Love. That took a long time to sign this. Love. Little Andy Warhol effects.
So, a lot of autograph signings are 40 minutes. But they sign more than one autograph. I went to Waterloo, he signed autograph for 40 minutes. Can you believe that?
Wait, oh, it's not here.
I'm gonna need a new memory card, bro.
I'd like to thank you for your song Taste Buds. It gets stuck in my head all the time, and it gets me in trouble because I start mindlessly singing it out loud.
You know what's funny is that we did a radio show at you know that in Houston there's a place where the Easter Everywhere was recorded, International Records. I don't know, it's a radio station now, but the Mexican lady there, yeah, she was saying she was like, I gotta tell you the truth that I have two sons, and they love cucumber barbecue, and I was playing. The song Taste Bud came on, and I didn't want to shock the kid, so I just put the volume down slowly, and then he's like, "Mom, what's a cunt?"
Oh no.
There's so many stories like that. We got.
Oh no.
Oh my God, yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's weird because if you look at Georgia, the state, I mean Texas is another thing, but like Georgia, you got Ray Charles, James Brown, Otis Redding, Little Richard, you know, that nest, you know, and like...
Little Richard and Otis Redding grew up on the same street.
Yeah, and Otis Redding played in his band as a sub.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, I would say, you know, in a related way, Montreal has like me, Barbecue, Bloodshot Bill. I don't know if you've ever heard of Deja Voodoo, but they're a band from 1980s. They were the Cramps of Montreal. But the thing was that they weren't heroin addicted and crazy. Instead, in the 80s, they just toured places like Finland and like remote areas. The singer was like a linguist, so he's a university professor, wrote books about language, and then he traveled for fun in the States to birdwatch, not with his band. You know what I mean? But I just met him for the first time, and in fact, the guy who this jacket belongs to, it was my friend who was a DJ in this small town I met my wife, and this guy brought all the bands there. He loved Dead Moon and all that. So I didn't even know Dead Moon because when I moved there in 2000, Dead Moon never came to Montreal, you know, or even the States. I don't think they toured that much. Europe loved them, you know. Yeah. So then he was always like, "Do you know Deja Voodoo? It's a very good Montreal band." I'm like, "No," and the funny thing is when you see Deja Voodoo now, they're playing again with Bloodshot Bill's backing him up. Sometimes I'm playing sitar with him, but it's like if Lux Interior was a lifer and not, I was not to say he wasn't a lifer, sorry, but if Lux Interior was just not connected to the darkness and like was a university professor who just like, oh, maybe I'm gonna do this again, you know what I mean? Like his voice is so.
That's Deja Voodoo.
Yeah, Deja Voodoo, yeah, and like they're re-releasing their stuff. and there's like hype about them, and like, and also, I used to always look for gang mentality in musicians. You know, like Near Adults, kind of like
Sure.
freaky, but
Sure.
like always with the trance and cool rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like, you know, lesbians and, you know. But now I don't see that anymore, but I do see younger kids having the same wildness, you know, like Animal from the Muppets, you know, like that, you know. And if you have that, then you have what I'm looking for, you know. And so I'm very like positive about like the way music is going. I'm not like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not gonna be an old guy and like, you know, there's always gonna be sellout bands like that band Huraga Gambin, you know, like I don't know how to pronounce their name, but like I think it's
Wait,
kind
Crunkbin.
of yes.
Yeah.
I find it funny that they wanted to sound so exotic, but they're just like two white people and a black dude, you know. But then again, Alalas, for example, they named their band Alalas because they thought they liked King Khan Barbecue show, the exoticness of it, and one of them is Persian, so like they adapted this Alala, and then they got in trouble for it, you know. So you have sellouts, and you know, and they have like real people, you know, and there's always going to be that balance. But like, I'm very positive that
I'm
like,
glad, man. That's great to hear you say that. That you feel positive
you
about
have
that.
to, you have to.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's like it's so easy to go in the negative pool and just keep drowning in it, and
It
like
is.
you know, like I don't like Ty Segall because I just find his lyrics boring and like not challenging,
Yeah.
and I don't like the fact that he's from Laguna Beach and was a rich boy. Like, but that doesn't make me hate the guy. He
Right.
can do whatever he wants, you know. Like, same with you know, like the guy from the OCs. I've never really liked an OCs song, but their concerts are moshable and fun,
Yeah,
and
they were so
let
big
the kids
coming up.
dance.
Yeah, when I lived in San Francisco for a couple of years, they were so big coming up.
I'm telling you,
They're huge
when
here.
you become popular, you fuck up your music because King Khan Barbecue, I would have loved to have played with Mark for the rest of my life. But after 30 years, and then when Love You So got huge on TikTok, 2 trillion uses, that's not even biologically possible. You can't put our song, like even if it's 3 seconds of the song, that's like 1,000,000 years or something, you know what I mean? But somehow that got us money, which also got taken away from me, and which made me learn that I don't have to live with that. I don't need those possessions. So maybe that's the lesson, you know? But, you know, all in all, like, I think the legacy of brutality is just like staring at my face right now. Like, I need to buy that record finally, you know? But, yeah,
This
it
place
is.
is dangerous that way.
Yeah,
stay away from the new arrivals,
we were talking about
yeah.
this. It's just like I could spend 8 hours here and tell you stories about all this shit, you know.
Yeah.
Like, but no, I love this. You know, like
Yeah.
we have to preserve this because what's left if people are just buying digital formats and all that stuff. You know, you've ruined like something.
Well, I think Trey and Karen and John, obviously, and the staff are very interested in preserving it.
Thank God. And then like I was saying with the viral thing though, like the reason we had to stop is because the first show we played for a big festival sponsored by a bank, right? In an old bank. It's already cursed. You know, you don't want to play in an old bank.
Sure.
You know, I like took chocolate pudding and I made a swastika on the wall because I was so pissed off at how they treated us, and they thought I shit on the walls. But it was chocolate, right? And then in the newspapers, I was said that I was a fucking pervert, blah, 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 all this stuff. They said I farted in Lindsay Lohan's face.
You did that
right?
shit.
I didn't fart. I mooned her very closely to her face, but not farting. I would not fart on someone, you know, unless they're my children. But like, no, but anyway, so these people came to our show expecting like Love You So, you know, normal people. And then I'm like, I had assless chaps. Right, and then I did so much
All
cocaine.
chaps are
and-
assless.
It's the truth. Thanks for ruining that take. Okay, no, sorry. Yeah, I had assless chaps. And my friend, she works in the porn industry even. She was tying them, and did so much cocaine, I was shaking, and I exploded the laces. Right, so I had to go on stage with ill-fitting women's panties, where my penis didn't know which side to hide on. Right, so like, and then there was a black woman in the audience, and the first thing I said to her, because she was the only black woman there with the camera, I was like, my Nubian queen, welcome to Wakanda, right? And she loved it, but then she left early because she had a photo assignment. So then the French newspaper wrote that I went up to her and went, Wakanda, Wakanda, like an ape, and then that I was being a fucking racist and that she ran away, right? I got her number so easily the next day I called her, I was like, did I fucking offend you? Why is this newspaper writing this shit? She's like, no, it was sweet, I thought it was fine. So, again, I can't defend myself because the public has already been the judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
You know, and then that was the biggest sign that like dude, normal people don't understand my humor. You know, I love being a rock and roller because I can say the N word, chink. I can say anything on stage, and people understand it's a joke. It's not. I'm not offending Chinese people. They're in the audience. I'm saying it on purpose. You know, so it's like comedy and music are so important for society that if you put bars on that shit, you're gonna ruin the whole universe, you know?
Yeah.
Like Richard Pryor is probably more important than, you know, like other musicians or whatever. And like when I'm working with the Black Panthers, you know, like I used to be so frustrated with the world. I'd be like, Malik Rahim, like, what do I do? Like, this is so fucked up. Like, I know I'm giving you money for food or like for the feed people. Like, he's like, Irish, you're doing what you're supposed to do when you write songs, and people sing your lyrics. They'll remember that more than they'll remember one of my speeches. You know, like for example, John Lennon. You know, like Give Peace a Chance. You know, that fucking made a movement in people's brains. You know what I mean? And so, I think that if I think we'll be fine. You know, we just have to keep cool-headed, take things slowly. You know, but like it's 3 more years of Trump, but I will say that Trump's idiocy has reflected on every other government in every other country being like, we're not going to go that way. You know, and America has always been the example for everything before it really happened. You know, that's why you can't touch American music. You know, it's the fucking best. You know, like, come on, you know, Velvet Underground, like what? Anything European, like fuck that. You know, like Beatles.
Sure.
You know,
I love the Beatles.
Just kidding. I did too. But you know what I mean, though. Like
I do.
You like the way the Jewish people like whatever Lou Reed and Bob Dylan, the way they interpret Black society and injustice, you know, is way more important than like the way John Lennon hated his son. You know, poor Julian, who he thought it was a mistake and all. You know, like I don't mean to mix those whatever feelings, but like I will say that American music like started the civil rights movement. You know, like I'm black and I'm proud. Like imagine Black Panthers going to a radio station with a fucking gun and being like, play that song, DJ. You know what I mean? Like that's wicked. That didn't happen anywhere else, you know.
That's very punk.
Now that Africa is on the up and up, finally, they got rid of the languages of English and French from their curriculums. They got rid of the embassies. We're in a fucking like a state is now hungry for learning exactly what the Black Panthers have taught me for the past 13 years of how to socially organize poor people and feed everyone. You know what I mean? Like for example, I made a ferry boat in Kenya, right? Because I asked them in this small village, there's no cars, there's only donkeys and cats on the streets, right? The streets are so thin. So like, imagine this, when I go there and I ask the boat maker, who makes pianos also, who made the mosque, right? He's a holy man. I ask him, I'm like, what's the best boat that I could live on, but you guys could use the most? He's like, oh, ferry boat. I'm actually half finished one, but no one bought it. I'm like, dude, I'll buy it. It's $250,000. I've only paid half of it, but already when I bought it, the government there were gonna buy it. They're like, oh shit, are you really doing that? He's been doing it for years. They didn't pay attention. No. But then when they realized, oh, every construction company from Kenya up to Gaza even, you know, all of that African territory, you can go to Nigeria in a river and go up the Nile. You know, so I want to do that for the rest of my life in an uncharted Africa, or not uncharted, but like unceded. You know, like I can go there with my kids from the orphanage. Imagine that.
Is that one of the two? Is that the same boats that you were talking about earlier? Is that one
Yeah.
of the two? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's Marcus Garvey style too, is boats. You know, like so. Imagine that you could not pay rent in international waters. You know.
Man, I had a friend when I lived in San Francisco who lived on a boat down by Embarcadero, and it was the cheapest rent.
It's unbelievable.
Was it Brian? No sprinkles?
No, it was somebody.
I lived there for a long time.
It was back in, I was like 08 to 10 or something like that. But yeah, I remember when he did it. His name was Matt, and I was like, what? That's amazing. I didn't even think of that.
You know, and it also like just the feeling of like, I love pirates. The Somali pirates are not there anymore because they're learning to live with each other. The only thing that's fucking rotten right now in Africa is a little bit of the treatment of the homosexual, obviously, but that's gonna change when people like me start going to our orphanages and teaching them about Little Richard and being like, look, the gay ones were the ones who invented this. They're the reason you're dancing the way you dance. It's good, you know what I mean? It's very easy to switch that switch, you know? And so and I see it in the kids. You show them suburbia, right? They've never seen suburbia. Like, they're like, what is this? These kids are feral, like us. They live in swimming pools. You know, like, this is cool, right? So, as long as I can, and this is, I kind of thought I groom them, but like, you know what? I groomed my own children and they came out great. You know, like, grooming doesn't have to be sexual, you know? And that's another thing, a challenge, it's not a challenge for me, but like, if you work in an orphanage, everyone that you bring to that orphanage has to be vetted by every employee. Like, you can't bring a creep in there, you know? And like, so especially with musicians, you have to watch out. Oh, the drummer really likes young girls. Like, okay, you're not invited. You know what I mean? But it's true.
Yeah,
like,
right.
this is a question that, and this is what I love, is that like, when I work with the missing and murdered women, or work with the people defending them, I asked them a lot, especially the male warriors in the Wolf Clan. I was like, what do you guys do, like, to get, you know, like, some tail, or like, do you have any, like, you know, chance to do that? They're like, no. Because if you have a woman in your life as a warrior, her needs will have to go over the needs of the people, always. You know, and if she's compromised by alcohol or drugs, then you're feeding a beast that is like, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you decide for this path, then stay on the righteous path. That's not to say you can't love someone or have a family, but often when the clan mothers back in the day, before the electoral system here, they stole the electoral system for the Mohawks. The Mohawk way of doing it was Bear Clan, Wolf Clan, Turtle Clan. Bears and wolves talk amongst each other. They decide, then Turtle Clan comes in and they're like, I agree or I disagree. If you don't, then go back to the table, you know? So that was their parliamentary system, and their chiefs were elected by women. So the clan mother of the wolves was like, yeah, this guy's good with the kids, he's good with everyone, like, he should be chief.
The mother had the last say.
The clan mother.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so, because they do everything in the family.
Sure.
Literally. So like, they would give them the horns, and then if they're too sick, or if they're feeble-minded, at one point, they take them away. The women decide that.
Yeah.
You know? And that's amazing. And so,
As it should be.
yes, totally. Dude, there's so much more.
They're way more intelligent than
They're, and also their bodies.
I've ever met.
All the healers.
You lying?
All the healers of in the Mohawk, and I've done so much research about this with actual people. Like, the healers that are men will usually deplete their energy when healing, right? So like, and then that gives them a foot fungus that doesn't go away. And then when they get it cut, their foot, it doesn't heal for years, and they die because of a fucking foot thing. And this is why my theory is that there's a fungus that is in spiritual places that are portals that will make you addicted to sugar. Like, I know Mohawk healers that are drinking 12 cans of cola a day, and they're like in their 80s, and they're losing their mind. It destroys everything, your eyes, your mind, everything. So like, in that way, but the women have the ability, because of the moon cycle, to like replete and get back the energy, you know, like they're always creating life,
Yeah.
you know? So, but then when you see like the healer that I've been working with for like 25 years, you look at her hands and they're like this. She's broken, all her fingers have been broken and they've never been set right, right? But why, right? Like, who heals the healer, right?
Yeah.
But she doesn't need it because her sons take care of her. You know what I mean? And she has no ill will about it. You know, it's like a witch. You know, when you see the witch disfigured and all this stuff, you're like, oh my God, what the? It's because she's magic. And she has done things that you will never know about, but it takes a toll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I just, when you start getting in this world, it's so lovely that you're like, why would I want to leave that world?
Right.
You know, and like, that's why I love Rocky, you know, like doing his homework in the mental asylum. Like, he's really doing his physics homework and he's reading things upside down.
Yeah.
That's just the way he is, you know, like, so, yeah, I feel like our freakdom will always win. And as long as you delve into that and keep that going, you know, we're good. Yeah. Even if you have nothing, like, you know, even family. Family is, you're not biologically chained to them, you know, and often, like both my brother and sister, I love them. They work with Native people for their whole life, but they're sellouts to me because they don't work exclusively in the system that they wouldn't even be allowed to be a doctor like that or a lawyer like that. You know, you have to learn the white man law or law itself, you know, like, so I just feel like they waste time. And like, you know, and I've wasted a lot of time, but I had fun. They stood in a fucking desk,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop farting in your brain.
Whatever. Thank you.
What's your name?
Appreciate it. I'm Gus.
Gus. That's funny, because remember I said at the restaurant, if they have Gus's here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so nice to meet you, man. Thank you for coming
Yeah,
in.
my pleasure. And like,
Thanks for signing
hey,
up.
and
It's
feel free to
awesome.
put that up wherever you want.
Oh, thanks
If
so
Waterloo
much.
wants to throw it up there, maybe you have to edit out.
Is that for the Waterloo
some of the
page?
hatred.
Yeah, it's for-
Okay. You want a link? We're doing a Con Sings the Homeless.
Maybe.
So we got it on
You have an
YouTube.
email or something? Oh, you want to exchange?
We already got the first episode up. We're just targeting homeless people, and he's playing sitar for them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I bet, man. I bet.
Because when we make a movie like this, it's like you know you can't prep. It's just go.
No,
you know,
yeah,
and
for
like
sure.
yeah. But if you guys got YouTube or something, or like Instagram, you could throw this thing, links up and stuff. Are you bear paw?
Huh?
Are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't know why. For some, well, no, because your writing is so shit.
Fuck you, man.
Will you take a picture?
Of course.
Edmund, will you take a picture of me in front
This
of
is an S, by the way.
Let's go over here.
Yeah.
Ellis, Jim.
Let's get let's get Billy's.
You want to get down here next to it?
Yeah. Hey. Oh, wait, there it is.
Oh, we're getting a photo. Okay.
Perfect.
I'm so happy we came.
Yeah, man.
I was looking
That's
for
the-
Billy because
the
I haven't
YouTube
seen her in a while.
page.
Oh, you know
yeah,
what?
yeah, cool. The at, like
okay.
it's just Ellis Jones, but I think if you do like
Oh, right.
YouTube /
Right.
yeah,
That'll
yeah.
get you right.
And then, no joke, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck was his name? We're watching Kill Tony and he comes on stage.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, James Mooney! I'm like, oh my god!
Did you talk to him?
No, I don't know if he has the same email because his company is probably over.
Do you know?
James
Mooney?
Mooney? Oh,
You're talking about
I don't have
Mohawk,
a
right?
contact for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I know. I mean, it's been a few years, but
I know.
yeah.
If you do
Yeah.
hear, wait, I can get, I'll give you my email.
We could throw him your way, yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Or if you guys, I don't know, if you do in-stores.
We do.
Yeah. Because like I said, I'm here. I'm like 2 hours away, so
Cool.
I would love to come here with Greg Ashley and show you guys what we're doing.
That'd be rad.
And he made a drum machine out of telephone speakers. It's like he's a genius. Yeah, so we're gonna do something without drums.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We would love to have you for an in-store.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, sitar in store. Sounds good.
All right. Good to
Or
meet you.
you can
Thank
do
you
your
so much for
karaoke
coming in.
set if you can find a drummer.
Karaoke,
I'm sure anybody-
karaoke comedy. Oh, my cell phone just got really big.
Can we have these? One of these?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna my sitar. Awesome. He's got my email.
Okay, cool. You're gonna do that? You're gonna put that in there? Sorry.
It wasn't for this piece of paper.
No, sorry. Or just so we can.
Now it's $100 record, dude.
Yeah.
Right, it'll go right next to that legacy brutality.
Actually, our first
Right?
honor one is like 3 to 5 sometimes.
That's for Moody.
Oh, that's Moody's? Oh no.
In case we come across it.
Yeah, and also for in-store.
Oh, right on. I'll get it recorded.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
You guys should order more King Kind of Barbecue. I'll come here, sign them all, and you can make some
Right on.
bank.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, have a
Hey,
great
God
one,
bless
man.
you.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. Hey,
Nice meeting you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too, man.
Nice
Yeah,
to meet you.
coming in, man.
What was your name again?
Edmund.
Edmund. Nice to meet you. All right.